This flow is perfect to be able to include in your onboarding process. We're going to be able to set up new staff members with their Gmail signature, as well as be able to provision access to shared drives. So as a first step, we're first going to set up our form. You can opt for a Google form, a Zenphi form, it doesn't matter. I have added different fields for the user to be able to fill out, in this case HR, with information like the user's first name, last name, what type of access they should have to the specific shared drive. You'll notice that for the department, I have used the lookup feature that we have within our Zenphi forms. What this is going to allow us to do is be able to create a table, the different departments where we can add the ID to the shared drive that belongs to that department, as well as the department's manager and the manager's email. So essentially, once they select a department, let's say finance, we'll already know what drive we need to add them to, as well as who their manager is. Once we have that, we're going to go ahead and create their account. To do that, first we need to create a password. So we'll use the create password action to do that. And then we're going to make sure we retrieve the information for the specific department they selected using the find record action. So here we're able to get all of the different columns based on which one they selected. And then we'll proceed to actually create their account. Now the create user action is very versatile. Here I have created their email, their password, first name, last name. Remember that if you want to add any dynamic information, you simply click on the token picker, the chain icon, and you can get information from any of the previous steps. It could be the password action or the form. However, there's also optional fields that you can add. I added a couple, like for example their phone number. I have enabled them to be able to change their password at next login. I've added the information for their department, their manager's email, and their job title as well. However, if you actually look at optional fields, you'll notice that there's many more that are available for you to fill out. So if you want to fill out any of these, you can also do that easily. Now that we've created their account, we're going to proceed to create their Gmail signature. To do that, we're going to use our update Gmail signature action. Now for this, you're going to need a Google Workspace admin connection. This means that you're going to need to upload a credential file for a service account to actually be able to use this connection. You're going to need to indicate the user's email, which we have from the previous action, and then you can choose if you want to create the signature in rich text or HTML. You can add formatting, you can change the type of font, you can add text in bold, change the color, etc. As you can see here, I'm adding their first name, last name, the role, the name of the company, and the phone number. Now, as you can see here, I have the same action 3 times, so depending on what access they need, whether it be a viewer, contributor, or a manager, we're going to make sure we select a different item. So this is the switch by value action, so depending on what they selected in that question, we're going to follow a different branch. For all of these, we're using the same action, add member to shared drive. So what we're doing here is adding the drive ID from our find record action, which is stored in our table. Here we're indicating that it's a user. We're going to add their email here, and then in member role, this is the only thing that's changing within the different branches. If you want to have another option for commenter or a content manager, you can also do that. So as you can see, that one is for viewer, this one is contributor, and this one would be for the manager. Now, last but not least, we want to make sure we notify the employee. So to do that, we're going to use the send email action to be able to send them an email. Now, to make sure their manager is in the loop, and since we already have that information in our table, we'll go ahead and add them as a CC, and then you can customize the email if you want to go ahead and modify the subject, the body. Here we have indicated their new email, their new password, letting them know they'll be able to change it upon first login, and any other information they may need. And in just a few minutes, we have built out a flow that will be in charge of making sure that all new employees are onboarded properly with their email signature and access to their respective shared drives. Without further ado, let's move on to the next flow.